Thank you for having me at this conference. I'm quite honored to be the only non-doctor speaking, I think. So this is an overview of what I'm going to cover. First, my sister Adrienne's story, and then a background on Blue Fairy, also the I Wish statements, a quick excerpt from my memoir, Better Off Bald, and then In Memory. My 8-year-old sister Adrienne came to visit me for Christmas vacation in December 1994. And that's a photo of her on the left that Christmas. But that 2-week vacation turned into a permanent stay when our mother decided she did not want to be a mother anymore. I was 22 years old when I got custody of Adrienne. And we had some hard years, but we managed until one day, 1 month after her 15th birthday, an ER doctor told me the worst news I've ever heard in my life. He said, she has tumors in her liver and lungs. And that was what I call day 1 of Adrienne's 147-day cancer journey. That photo on the far left is one day before chemo. She shaved her head into 4 mohawks and called it her quad hawk. The middle photo is when she got to meet her favorite musician, Dave Navarro of Jane's Addiction, on the set of The Tonight Show. And the photo on the far right is on her Make-A-Wish day. And that was Adrienne's favorite photo of herself because she thought she looked like a very elegant mannequin. And yes, please, you're allowed to laugh during this. And this is the last photo taken of Adrienne over Labor Day weekend. She died on October 9th, 2001, in her bed, surrounded by people who loved her. And her last words were, "I love you, Sissy." That's what she called me. So I really needed a way to channel my grief. And when I realized there was not a single charity dedicated to HCC, I decided to start one. So Blue Fairy's mission is to prevent, treat, and cure primary liver cancer, specifically hepatocellular carcinoma, through research, education, and advocacy. And most people don't get an opportunity to meet my board of directors. They operate behind the scenes, but I would not be here without them. Monique Beatty was a founding board director. She's also our treasurer and secretary. Marina Uchenick, the very young person up there, was my sister's oldest friend and Blue Fairy's first volunteer. And when she became old enough, she ran for the board. And Matthew Loxton joined Blue Fairy a couple of years ago. He specializes in health policy and improvement, splitting his time between Denver and DC. And I also wanted to call out these volunteers who are really making a difference. Azure Klein and Kathy Anderson are community ambassadors. They moderate Blue Fairy's online liver cancer community. Azure lost her father to HCC in 2017. Kathy lost her husband to HCC in 2003. Elizabeth Marquez is Blue Fairy's booth manager. She has survived 4 ASCOs and 4 liver meetings now. If you've ever dropped by our booth, you've most likely met her. And Alta Wilson has been doing our taxes pro bono since day 1. And I also want to note that we have an amazing medical research committee and advisory board. It is chaired by Dr. Ghassan Abu Alfa. We have lots of programs that address education, community, research, and advocacy. I'm only going to touch on 3 of them. In education, we have our patient education brochures written in layman's terms. They are free to patients and caregivers and to you, providers. You can order them online. We do not charge for shipping. They are continuously updated, translated into Spanish, and shipped all over the world. We also have our online liver cancer community that is for patients and caregivers. It is HIPAA compliant. It's available in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. And then we also have our Blue Fairy Award for excellence in liver cancer research. Typically, the award period opens in late October. It closes the following January. We start deliberating at this time of year, and we make a decision in March, and then we announce it publicly April 8th, which was my sister's birthday. So this is a super exciting time because I know who the finalists are, but I don't know who the winner is yet. We actually have some Blue Fairy Award winners here. Speaking of Blue Fairy Award winners, these are the past 6 winners of the Blue Fairy Award. I'm sure you see some very familiar faces. These men and 1 woman, we're working on that. We're going to get more women up here. But these men and 1 woman all have one thing in common, whether they're researchers or clinicians. They are making a huge difference in the lives of HCC patients. And this is Blue Fairy's web traffic last year. Even though our traffic is mainly from English-speaking countries, you can see we also get a lot of traffic from India, China, South Korea, and Japan, and that's because when we redid our website a couple of years ago, we made a real concentrated effort to reach out to that international patient population. We started with Arabic, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Portuguese, Spanish, and Vietnamese, and then, because of request, we added Urdu, we added Hindi, we added Mongolian, and most recently, we just added French. And I also want to thank the members of Blue Fairies Benefactors Council. They have really helped us grow over the years. And now I'm going to jump right into these I wish statements. These are statements made by patients and caregivers, and it's what they really want to know. So if you do see patients, I just really want you to think, when you hear these statements, how do you talk to your patients? I wish I had known HCC has a much higher rate in other parts of the world, like Asia. So experimental treatments are more common there than in the US. I wish I'd been told my cancer was terminal and chemotherapy would be of little help. And that is a survivor, male survivor with 1 recurrence. I wish it could be detected earlier. The public needs more education and kind of debunk the myths surrounding liver cancer. Spouse. I wish doctors had listened to me. It took 3 opinions before I was correctly diagnosed with HCC. My tumor was the size of a Nerf football, and 40% of my liver was removed. I'm happy to say this is a young male HCC survivor. He's doing quite well. I wish I'd known what to expect after I was sent home from the hospital. No one told me what side effects I would experience, so I kept going to the ER week after week. Female HCC and cholangiocarcinoma patient. I wish healthcare was a team sport. From good news, it may not be cancer, to your husband has a slam dunk case of HCC, to I believe he has CCA. We received 3 conflicting opinions within 3 weeks from the same medical center. And it was an NCI center, but I'm not going to say which one. I won't throw him under the bus. I wish I had gone straight to a clinical trial instead of wasting 2 years and letting chemo weaken me when it was not going to cure me. Female cholangiocarcinoma survivor. I wish I had known HCC patients are treated by multiple specialties: oncology, hepatology, cardiology, endocrinology, nephrology, and primary care. Communication and education is lacking across the board. I wish people knew that liver cancer can happen to any one of us, even the healthiest of us. And this is a female fibrolamellar HCC survivor who is doing quite well. And then there's my I wish. This is my book. You can download it for free at that web address, bit.ly/betteroffbald. I do want to thank the doctors who read the final manuscript, but it wasn't yet proofread, who also endorsed the book, and in some cases even corrected the medical terminology, which I really appreciate. And I'm just going to take a moment to read when we got that diagnosis. So to give you some context, my sister had her biopsy. We were told it was HCC, most likely, but the pathology report had not come back yet. And now we're going into that room and getting the news. And John was my very serious boyfriend at the time and the only father figure my sister had. When Dr. No asked us to join him in the consultation room, I know he must have the results of the pathology report. John and I walk into the room with our now favorite nurse, Ronnie, right behind us. The theme is meant to soothe. There are 2 impressionist prints with blue and yellow flowers, blue chairs, a table, and a couch. The small TV, VCR, dry erase board, and boxes of tissue are reminders that parents are brought in here to learn about their child's illness and to hear the prognosis. Even though I am ready to hear the words liver cancer, I still break down when Dr. No confirms our worst fears. Your sister has hepatocellular carcinoma, HCC. Praying for ovarian cancer didn't do a damn bit of good. Before the good doctor can put a timeline on Adrienne's life, I interrupt him. I don't want to hear numbers, no numbers. Just tell us what it is and what we have to do. Don't you dare predict anything, no numbers. I watch his face digest my request. He already had a number in mind, but he respects my wish and does not say it. I grab the first of many Kleenexes and blow my nose. And then John begins asking a barrage of questions. What other evidence do you have besides the pathology report that Adrienne has HCC? With a poker face, Dr. No replies, although her liver is functioning normally, her liver enzymes are elevated, which indicates stress on the liver. Undeterred, John continues, what is her AFP? 1.4 million. I know that number is too high, but I cannot remember what the normal level of AFP should be. I want to ask, but when I open my mouth, no words come out. Instead, I taste the salt from my tears. Looking at his notes, John asks, does Adrienne have fibrolamellar HCC? No. How can a doctor deliver terrible news and show no emotion whatsoever? Given my inability to speak, I like that John has taken charge. He keeps hammering Dr. No with questions. I read that well-differentiated tumors are good candidates for liver transplants. Her tumors are poorly differentiated. More bad news. My ears tickle and my face heats up as another wave of tears rush down my cheeks. I need more Kleenex. Is a liver transplant an option? No. Since the cancer has already metastasized to her lungs, a liver transplant isn't practical. It won't solve the problem. Isn't practical? Won't solve the problem? Will anything fucking solve the problem? I blow my nose again. And so it goes back and forth, a ping-pong match between the knowledgeable, skilled doctor and the newly educated parents, except I'm not helping John. I take a breath, find my voice, and jump in, so it's 2 against 1. I ask, how many cases of HCC have you treated? 6. What happened? Please say one of them made it. They didn't make it. Wrong answer. I reach for another Kleenex and I look at John and admire his dry face. Thank God only one of us is a basket case. And then I remember something I wanted to know. Where are the shoulder and back pain coming from? There is a major nerve that runs from the liver up to your right shoulder. Your sister never had a shoulder injury. She felt referred pain from her liver. Her back is hurting because her spleen is enlarged. Oh. I think things cannot get worse. I'm wrong. Dr. No adds, the bone scan indicated a small mass on the back of your sister's neck. It could be another tumor. I'm ordering a CAT scan of her brain tomorrow to eliminate the possibility of any tumors in that location. I squeeze the numerous used tissues in my hand. I hesitate before asking my last question. Don't you have any good news? Dr. No looks at me. I study his eyes and I see nothing. No hope, no sympathy, no pity. He seems so detached from our situation. He answers with one word. No. Of course not. After giving us Adrienne's poor prognosis, Dr. No launches into the quality of life speech. Quality of life, yet another class taught in medical school. He says she can start chemotherapy immediately, but we need to consider Adrienne's quality of life. And since she still feels good, now would be a good time to do fun things, like go to Hawaii. I look at him. I want to yell at him. Go to Hawaii now? Why? Because she won't be able to later? And why Hawaii? And with what money? Do you want to pay for it? If you took the time to get to know your patients, asshole, you would know Adrienne wants to go to Ireland. I hate this doctor. I hate his cold, impersonal manner. I hate that he suggests we give up and go on a trip instead. And I hate that he can't fix this cancer. And most of all, I hate that during this entire conversation, he refused to say Adrienne's name. With the quality of life speech out of the way, Dr. No gets down to business and discusses his treatment plan for Adrienne. The chemotherapy will be difficult. There's no guarantee it will work. The first course will be a combination of adriamycin and cisplatin, 2 drugs that have shrunk tumors in some HCC patients. The side effects are severe. Adriamycin can cause serious heart damage, and cisplatin can cause total hearing loss. Both drugs will knock out Adrienne's immune system. Due to the drug's negative side effects, Dr. No will only do a maximum of 8 chemotherapy sessions at 3 to 4 week intervals. I cannot stop myself from calculating the numbers in my head. 8 times 3, 8 times 4, 24, 32, only 6 to 8 months. And there it is, the dreaded number. At best, Adrienne has 6 to 8 months to live. And Adrienne did not even live 5 months. So this is my wish. I wish I had known a clinical trial was the best and only option for my sister from day one. I wish Dr. No had said, I'm a pediatric oncologist. This is not a pediatric cancer. This is an adult cancer. I am not the best doctor. I wish Dr. No had said, you know what, the best thing is to get your sister to UCLA or USC right now, today. I wish we had never done chemo. So that's my wish. And I want to dedicate this presentation to two amazing people who lost their battle with HCC just last month. Susan Sharkey, I met about a year after her diagnosis of cholangiocarcinoma and HCC. She was only given 6 months to live. She lived 2.5 years. And I used to joke with Susan that she was the only person I knew whose New Year's resolution was to gain weight instead of lose weight. She was a thin person, just genetically, but also she had ulcerative colitis. And Gregg, I never had the chance to meet, but I know his wife quite well. She's a member of Cancer U's Patient Caregiver Advocate Board. They're an amazing couple. Gregg lived with HCC for 3.5 years, and most of that time had a great quality of life. He wanted to make it to his 70th birthday, and he did. And if you look very closely on his middle finger there, he has the word cancer. And I just want to finish with this photo of me and Adrienne. It's one of the last photos of us taken together. She was exhausted because the night before we had gone to medieval times, which was on her bucket list of things to do. And you can follow Blue Fairy on social media. If you just put in Blue Fairy Liver Cancer, you can find us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. Thank you.